Hello guys, and welcome to another hangout, pre-recorded as usual. And while I keep making these hangouts, they'll continue to be pre-recorded while I'm still the most shadow banned man, most shadow banned person, not just on YouTube but on the whole internet. The story of my Twitter account is something different. Right, this is another not for the timeline hangout. I made two already. I suppose I should have called the previous one not for the timeline 2, but I didn't. I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to call this not for the timeline or not for the timeline brackets 3. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's cases which I'm not adding to the timeline, not because I don't believe that, not because I believe the person accused of rape got off on a technicality or excuse me, well after close to 2 AM as usual, or because I think the jury got it wrong. But there are some cases which I'm just going to put on the timeline. I'm going to begin with an absolutely remarkable case. This is a case of I think invention long after the event. Quite a few years ago now, I saw a documentary on YouTube about a young woman named Antoinette Frank. Well, not so young now. She was a police officer in the Deep South, and she was and remains currently, I believe, the only woman on death row in her state, Louisiana. I tried to access the video the other day, but it appears to be still there, but it's blocked for some reason. Well, it's I got a message that it's not available, whatever. But there's plenty of stuff on YouTube about Antoinette Frank. Basically, she was a young police officer. She met a teenager who she got the hots for him, and they ended up robbing a restaurant and murdering 3 people, including another police officer. And he got, well, he never going to see daylight again. She got the death penalty. This was back in the 1990s, and she's still on death row. They call it death row. It's ridiculous actually, because it's mostly, I mean, the people have been on death row over 3 decades. Lawrence Bittaker, serial killer, horrible case. Look him up if you have a strong stomach. He spent, he died fairly recently. He spent 3 decades or more on death row. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. This Antoinette Frank's case has been taken up, was taken up by one of these so-called innocence projects, which are not really innocence projects, most of them. This is a slightly different innocence project though. Right, I posted an image here, as you can see, well, as you've just seen. She doesn't look quite as attractive as that now. This is Cornell Law School. Antoinette Frank facing execution while crimes mastermind serves life. In a letter delivered to the Louisiana Board of Pardons and Paroles on October 4th, 2023, 50 prominent anti-gender violence organisations, anti-gender violence, seriously, she murders 3 people and she's a victim of anti-gender violence, and individuals from Louisiana and across the US called on the board and Governor John Bell Edwards, B-E-L Edwards, to commute the death sentence of Antoinette Frank The only woman on Louisiana's death row. The letter is available here. Antoinette Frank is a survivor of child abuse and serial rape by her own father. The experts on violence against women write. I mean, this is just, you know, she's a victim. None of this was raised at her trial. Let's have a look at the Wikipedia entry for her trial. I'm not a great fan of Wikipedia, as some of you may know, but when it's just straightforward reporting, anything non-political or non-controversial, you can generally rely on it. Here we are, right. On October 18th, 2006, Frank's lawyers argued the Louisiana Supreme Court that death sentence should be overturned because she was denied state-funded experts to help prepare for the sentencing phase of the trial. Experts. Mitigating evidence. What mitigating was there? Frank's attorneys introduced a testimony of psychiatrists who said that possible traumatic events in Frank's childhood could have affected her behaviour at the time of the murders. She may have been suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. She was a police officer. A psychiatrist retained by the state disagreed that Frank showed symptoms of trauma. He agreed with the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial tendencies given to Frank by doctors at the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women. On May the 22nd, 2007, Louisiana Supreme Court ruled 5-2 that the death penalty should be upheld. 2007. Antoinette's father victimised her throughout her young life with violence and sexual abuse. Antoinette's father, a Vietnam veteran with severe PTSD from his combat experience, created an atmosphere of terror for his whole family. He was prone to violent rages, he booby-trapped the family home, and he killed pets in front of his children. He regularly threatened to kill the whole family, packing them into cars, stop for hours in the middle of train tracks, or filling the kitchen with gas. His abuse of Antoinette in particular was documented by the Veterans Administration, where he was being treated with antipsychotics for his PTSD. And he admitted to choking her and throwing her across the room when she was only 2 years old. Antoinette's father began molesting her when she was 9 years old and started raping her at the age of 11 or 12. The rapes continued even after she became a police officer at 22 years old. 3 times, the first when she was 16 years old, Antoinette became pregnant as a result of her father's rapes. Each time her father forced her to have an abortion. And the documentation on this is where. And there's the usual twaddle here, but interestingly, on the Wikipedia page, there's an external reference for this. In 1993, a year and a half before the murders at the Kim An, that's the restaurant. Check out a documentary if you can find a documentary about the case. It's very worthwhile. It's a horrible case. Frank and her teenage boyfriend went to this restaurant where, and they murdered two members of staff, and they murdered police officers as well. A year and a half before the murders at the Kim An, Frank's father had stayed at her home for a time before she then reported him missing. In November 1995, a month after she received her first death sentence, a dog led police to find a human skull with a bullet hole buried under Frank's house. In a 2005 retrospective, Chuck Hustmeyer said, "As for those human bones unearthed beneath Frank's house, so far authorities have made no serious effort to identify them. The 10-year-old case, they say, remains under investigation." Police and prosecutors believe that the skull was that of Adam Frank and that Antoinette murdered him. However, since she's already on death row for the Kim An murders, they have made no effort to try her for her father's death. She's murdered her own father. And she's, I mean, just, was this girl a rape victim? I don't believe so. And this, when do they get the nerve to talk about gender-based violence here? And interestingly, there's there's a counter petition, if you like. Justice for Rogers J. Lucchese Sr. He was a teenage boyfriend. Rogers J. Lucchese Sr. was sent to prison at 18 with a 2-year-old son and a baby on the way, all because of his association with one of the New Orleans Police Department's officers, Antoinette Frank, who was also convicted of the murders of 3 people. So they're trying to shift, his supporters are trying to shift all the blame onto her. He was given a life sentence. His conviction was quashed. He was given a new trial and he was convicted again. So he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. But it's just, I mean, any time you hear of a woman who's facing serious charges or being convicted of something serious, she's always a victim. You know, even Kelly J. Key Minshall falls for this garbage about women in prison being victims of abuse and sexual abuse. It's absolutely ludicrous. Right, the next case. This will be a bit quicker, a lot quicker. This is from bendouglas-jones.com, 30th of December 2014, so it's not quite as ancient as the other case. Human trafficking conviction unsafe. Ben Douglas Jones, acting for the Crown. So this guy is the guy. This is the blog of this is a Chambers blog in London. Ben Douglas Jones, acting for the Crown in RVY, conceded that a conviction for using a false passport was unsafe when a legal team in the Crown Court failed to identify her as a possible victim of human trafficking. Here we go again. She had been subjected to years of exorcism treatment, juju magic rituals and repeated rape in Nigeria. She was trafficked by a stranger to the UK and sold as a domestic and sex slave. I mean, seriously? The passport office had been committed to enable her to escape from a trafficking situation. The court endorsed the case, or it gives several cases here. In O, LZ and Y, the Court of Appeal adopted BD Jones' suggested approach to the breach of international law involving prosecuting a victim of human trafficking where no one could be criticised for not identifying her such at the time. This is all garbage. Every woman who is arrested in this country or any other country for being an illegal immigrant, I mean, not in America where there's probably no such thing as an illegal immigrant anymore, but anytime they're always victims. They've always been raped in their own country. They've been by police officers or by soldiers. There's quite a few cases on the timeline. It just, the worst one wasn't a sexual abuse case. It's a woman in, I think it was Manchester, New Hampshire, from Rwanda, and it was found that she took an active part in the Rwandan genocide. Now, I'm sorry, I don't go along with this. They're all victims. No, they're not all victims. This is a case from last month. This is the Sydney Morning Herald. It's behind a paywall, but I managed to get around it somehow. Australian charity deregistered as false claims over children emerge, by Cameron Houston. A charity founded by former Australian soldier Adam Whittington that claimed to save vulnerable children from human trafficking was deregistered just days before a BBC investigation revealed claims in fabricated stories to raise funds. So unusual that. A BBC podcast released on Tuesday accused Whittington's charity Project Rescue Children of making false claims about its rescue centres in Africa and using unsuspecting children as props to attract donations. Yeah, this is very similar to Somaly Mam, a really horrible case of horrible woman. I'll put a link to her entry on the timeline. Let's back a bit. She exploited a young girl who'd had lost an eye through a horrible some sort of tumour. It almost engulfed her face, and Mam claimed that she'd been held prisoner by a female madam, and this woman had gouged her eye out. It's horrible, you know. It's just horrible lies they tell. But she fooled even Hillary Clinton, so give her credit for that. As usual, I'm not doing these in any particular order. This is a case I found recently from the Hartlepool Mail, July 4th 2000. Pair have teenage sex case dropped. No action over a girl who says she was raped. The case against two men accused of having sex with a 14-year-old girl has been dropped, it was revealed today. Crown Prosecution Service chiefs decided it was not in the public interest to proceed with the case, which centred around the alleged rape of a Hartlepool teenager. The schoolgirl accused two men of raping her after she'd been to an all-you-can-drink promotion at Hartlepool nightclub, and they let her in and let in a 14-year-old drink. Well, I was drinking alcohol when I was 14, mostly cider. The alleged rape was said to have taken place in the early hours of Saturday, February 5th. Today, Superintendent Mark Braithwaite of Hartlepool Police confirmed the case was officially discontinued at the Magistrates Court. The 19-year-old man from London faced a charge of having sexual intercourse with a girl under 16 without her consent. He was also accused of trying to pervert the course of justice by asking somebody to give false information to the police. Both charges were dropped. The second man, aged 20 and from Hartlepool, faced one charge of having sexual intercourse with a girl under 16 without her consent. Last week, licensing magistrates. The club was had its license revoked. Yeah, good. They heard how dozens of underage boozers enjoyed the event, and about how teenage girls admitted downing a huge amount of alcohol themselves. She said she was 16, you right? 19 and 20 isn't, with a 14-year-old isn't so bad, but it's still not good, you know. Where are the parents? Right, the next one is from the Billericay and Wickford Gazette, May 23rd, 1996. Teacher cleared. The paper was a bit, the story said it was continued on back page, and then it wasn't a back page, it was, there was 96 pages, I think it was 96 pages, and it was on page 80. Teachers found not guilty of 10 indecent assaults at Basil and Crown Court. It was this isn't a rape case, he was I won't give his name, but he was teaching kids to teaching people to sing, and he was breathing, and he was accused of touching their breasts. And it's an expert who taught top Covent Garden singers confirmed the importance of monitoring breathing techniques. I mean, I don't know, just ludicrous, some of these cases, aren't they? The police, some daffy woman or some deranged woman accused the teacher of doing something or something he shouldn't be doing, and then they go trawling for victims. They find a lot more. Another one, not for the timeline. This is also 1996, Express and Star. I think that's Wolverhampton, June the 3rd. June the 13th or June the 18th, Thursday anyway. Wife cried rape over Sunday roast row. The husband told the court his wife had made a false rape complaint against him because he criticised the Sunday dinner and threw it out the window. The man was cleared of rape by an Old Bailey jury yesterday, but the judge kept him in the dock until he promised not to go near his wife. I mean, just, the judge said she was binding him over the female judge. She was binding him over in the interest of justice because on his own evidence he had a short fuse, a bad temper, and smashes things up. He denied having sex with his second wife and said she had cried rape after a violent row which began when he got home from a fishing trip. I mean, what can you say about these cases? No, it's definitely, I'm definitely not adding that to the timeline. Oh, this one is this is absolutely definitely not. This is a bloke called Hamilton Jiggins. This is June the 20th, 1975 for Evening Mail. I'm not sure what Evening Mail it is. It's no, it's not that one. I got that wrong. I know it's a different paper. There was in Express and Star, and also I think it's the Birmingham Evening Mail, something like that. Stabbing husband grossly provoked. A commercial traveller who stabbed his estranged wife and left her body in a country lane in only a sheepskin coat had been grossly provoked by her words and actions. It was said at Stafford. This woman was taking the most appalling advantage of the stress and strain he was in. So he was defended by Douglas Draycott. Douglas Draycott, he became a recorder of Shrewsbury. He was a defence counsel for Somaly Mam. I'll put a link to the Ram case. Horrible little man. Let's have a dedicated website about it, about the murder he committed. So Draycott defended this bloke, and in the next issue, salesman jailed for killing wife. A salesman had killed his wife, an office worker at Wolverhampton County Court, was jailed today for 4 years. Found guilty of manslaughter, murdering Mrs. Mary Butler. Yeah, he's Hamilton Jiggins, and she's Mary Butler. Well, you can work that out, but that he got a result there, didn't he? There was a struggle and Mrs. Butler was stabbed 3 times. He said she threatened to accuse him of rape and added, "After tonight's stunt, you won't see the children again." Definitely not adding that to the timeline. Right, what else we got? Student cleared. This is the Express and Star again. This is 20th of September 1996. Student rape case accuser is cleared. A Wolverhampton man accused of raping and falsely imprisoning the 18-year-old student Anna. A Wolverhampton man accused of raping and falsely imprisoning an 18-year-old student was this afternoon cleared by a jury. He was also cleared of attempting to make the student work as a prostitute and intimidate a witness. The jury reached unanimous verdicts on all 4 counts. The student, also from Wolverhampton and claimed that Clark activated the central locking in his white BMW while giving her a lift from a nightclub. She said he then drove her to his home. She claimed he tried to drag her back to the house after she tried to escape. The following day she told the jury he made her phone a number of stores in London to inquire about work as a prostitute. I mean, I don't know. These cases are so implausible. Here's one. I think this is the Belfast newsletter, October 20th, 1988. Or some newsletter. I'm not adding it to the timeline anyway. Court clears son of rape. A 22-year-old van driver who had sex with his mother. Oh God. That's been given 2 years probation at Bristol Crown Court. He was cleared of raping a 42-year-old woman but admitted it incest. Just go away, Oedipus lives. That's monsters out there. This is the Bristol Evening Post. This is March 26, 1988. My hell by husband cleared of rape. A 22-year-old married man walked free from Bristol Crown Court after a jury cleared him of raping a teenage nursemaid. Outside the court yesterday, he was reunited with his wife. He said, "The last 5 months I've been in hell, but she always believed I was innocent of the charge, but not of adultery." A jury of 8 men and 4 women reached a verdict after deliberating for 3 hours and 48 minutes. The man admitting he and the girl had sex in his flat in Lawrence Way area of Lawrence Weston, never heard of that before, Bristol, but denied it was rape. He confessed to the witness box he was ashamed of committing adultery and being unfaithful to his wife. He was unaware the girl age 18 was a virgin. An 18-year-old virgin in 1988. It's kind of been white. The court heard during the 5-day trial how they met in the grounds of Blaze Castle after he had aroused his wife. They managed to meet later that day, and she accepted his invitation to tea in his flat. She alleged she was dragged into his bed where she was forced to have sex against her will. The accused man said she did not protest and behaved as though she had had intercourse before. I mean, her story is, I don't know, not quite believable, but what's he doing taking her home anyway? This is from Liverpool Daily Post, March the 7th, 1970. Man cleared of assault on nurse. Charges of rape and indecent assault brought against a 50-year-old man who acted as handyman at a nursing home near Chester were dismissed by Chester Castle magistrates. He admitted he'd taken part in indecent behaviour with a 16-year-old trainee nurse. He's 58. He's 50, and she's 16. So yeah, some people are quite indecent. Morally, I was wrong, but legally, I was doing nothing wrong. I felt the girl was encouraging me. Cox, now living in Hanbridge, Chester, was discharged after the presiding magistrate said this case has not been proved to our satisfaction. Police had asked for a committal for trial on a charge of rape, then put the second charge of indecent assault after more serious allegations had been dismissed. That's typical police. In court, the girl said she no longer worked at the home, but on January 19th she was a trainee nurse there. She changed her nightdress and dressing gown about 8:30 p.m. and turned to go to bed. Then went to watch TV. He asked her to help move a chair from another girl's room. When she went in, he locked the bedroom door and tried to kiss her. She tried to push him off, but he pushed her onto the bed and committed the offence. She added, "I started crying." He said, don't tell, don't tell." Later that night she told a friend and they telephoned the local rector and police were called. Cox told the court she was always under the impression that people didn't like her. "I put my arm around her waist in a friendly manner." Yeah, as you would do. She put her arms around me and kissed me passionately. Mr. Elphiam Roberts, defending, told the court indecent behaviour between the two is admitted. The sole issue in this case is whether what occurred between them in the way of indecent behaviour was against the will of the girl. That's the price you pay for stay away from 16-year-old girls, especially if you're 50. This is the Hanford Sentinel for August the 14th, 1990. Case dismissed for alleged rape. The rape case against 34-year-old Herbert D. Hall was dismissed Monday when the alleged victim chose not to testify in the matter. Hall was arrested by Limor Police June 19th in connection with the alleged rape. He was scheduled to stand trial on the matter in September until the suspected victim refused to testify, forcing the district attorney's office to dismiss the case for lack of evidence. I'm not sure where this is from. I thought it's not from Hanford. I'm not sure where Hanford is. It's somewhere in the United States, obviously. In fact, I think I dug this out some time ago. Not that long ago. Yeah, I mean, why didn't she turn up? There's a case here, Gary Kitchings. I wasn't going to add it, but I researched it in some depth, and I added it to the timeline recently. It's quite interesting, that. And just one more. This is from Croydon Advertiser, August 7, 2009, which is, if not my local press, then fairly local. This is sellotape sex man not guilty. A man accused of rape has walked free from court after a jury accepted his explanation that his alleged victim had agreed to take part in a bondage session. He lives in Norbury, which I know well, I know, at the 26-year-old woman's flat, also in Norbury. The 36-year-old said he was invited to the woman's home. He claimed it was early instigated sex between them and suggested they should have a bondage session. He said the pair had sex at least 3 times during the night of August 9th last year. After she said, "I want you," she suggested we try tie-up sex. I placed sellotape around her mouth. We were giggling about it. Simpson denied the charge of rape and was cleared following 11.5 hours of deliberation by the jury, so I took the time of that. Anyway, that's some cases I won't be adding to the timeline. I haven't had a lot recently because I've been doing other things. The Antoinette Frank case, so many cases like that where any time a woman is accused of murder, especially, the bastard deserved it, or she was sexually abused in the past. Always. It's just, I mean, judges who try these sort of cases must be sick of hearing about them. Anyway, that's my latest hangout, and please check out the full soap timeline. I hope to add quite a few more cases over the next few weeks, in spite of having quite a heavy workload.